went down. Oh, 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 way down. Oh, 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 way down. Oh,
Riots from 4 years ago had drained all their bullets, but with everyone working together, a massive human chain formed, blocking the three iron doors. The people at the bottom rushed forward, clashing with the guards. Without the threat of firearms, their numbers gave them a clear advantage. Within minutes, they had the guards on the ground. Of course, breaking through these three cars wasn't the end. This was still the lower level. They needed to find a man named Namgung, a South Korean, to move on to the next step. It didn't take long before they found Namgung in the storage prison. He was a full-blown addict, but also a security systems expert. To break through the doors in the next car, they needed his help. I pulled out a stash of chronos I'd prepared earlier. One door, one chrono. The temptation was too much for Namgung to resist. Calmly, he opened another cabinet. Inside was his daughter, Yuna, who had an incredibly sharp sense of perception. Together, they were unstoppable. It didn't take long for Namgung to find the connection wires for the iron door. But then, he paused. Yuna reached out, asking for a chrono. She sensed there was no one in the next car and that opening the door would be easy. Sure enough, after catching the scent of chrono, Namgung hooked up the wires, and the door slowly creaked open. Inside was the soldiers' dorm. It wasn't just bunks, the car had washrooms on both sides. It was a lot better than their own living conditions. But what was strange was that the soldiers were nowhere to be found. Namgung moved on to the next door. Yuna again asked for another chrono, warning that there were people behind the door, but no danger. The door opened, and everyone saw an old man running toward them. His name was Paul. He had once lived in the lower car but had been forcibly taken to the front because he could cook. With his half-baked skills, he was assigned to make protein blocks for everyone. When I saw the raw materials in the industrial oven, I couldn't believe my eyes. Countless live cockroaches. The clueless people from the lower levels were scrambling to grab the protein blocks, thinking it was the best meal they'd had in ages. I couldn't bring myself to tell them the truth. I confronted Paul, asking why he was doing this. He said he was just doing his job. He couldn't change anything. After eating the protein blocks, everyone felt their strength returning, and their confidence was at an all-time high. But as Namgung was working on the wiring, Yuna suddenly froze, as if she sensed something. None of us expected that the car was now packed with guards. That's why the dorm had been empty earlier. The guards wore black hoods and carried sharp blades, clearly ready for whatever was coming. Despite the overwhelming pressure from the guards, the people from the lower levels had nothing left to lose. On one side, there were brawny guards wielding sharp blades. On the other, the skinny, desperate fighters backed into a corner. The two sides stood off, and the battle was about to erupt.